Good morning, and sorry if you saw a bunch of live shows starting because my freaking Streamlabs wouldn't push the video through. But now we got it, so Llama Mama's here, and the names are fixed. How interesting is today going to be, right, Oakland Group? Thanks for joining in, Matthew, Doug, Spaceman. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I hope you guys are ready to look at some stocks today. We do see the daily expected moves here on your chart for the SPY are 621.04 to the upside and 614.66 to the downside. We are noticing that volatility is still doing volatility things, but if volatility is able to confirm down here, it can still remain in a positive trend, but you do have some forms of weakness now at these highs for volatility. So is this going to be all you're going to get, and then you're going to see the 2 hour actually pull down to lower levels? To maybe even confirm up next week. That is the possibility here. Maybe that slow grinding kind of move. This would mean that we need to pay attention a little bit more to futures, and we might not be able to see the 2 hour divergence on this. I am still leaning towards we see it on the actual charts as of right now. So just so we're clear on that, that's how I see it for the time being. If you needed the daily expected moves for the Qs for today, you do have 555.21 to the upside and 548.07. So with these ones, you want to say, hey, we're still in positive territory. So if it's ever able to curl back up, that will still be a good thing. That is the overall grind higher. So we'll see if that's able to take place. But if we can get a 2 hour pullback, then we can see that the FOMOers maybe step in for a moment. We can then see something bad going into next week. So I do believe that with volatility showing that signal, the risk, your risk hat should be pretty firm on your head right now. Yeah, Apple with the crazy move, right? Remember when we kept saying this too. So if the 30-minute curls up, it's positive, and you could just see some kind of move if you beat this high to like a weekly expected move. Do you know what you did? You saw the 30-minute curl up. You saw the 30-minute be able to get to the weekly expected move. So very, very interesting. I believe it did get to the weekly expected move here. I'll double check. Yeah, tapped its head right below it. So pretty much right below it, but very, very good. Now you've peeked your head to the upside, so Apple just became even more confusing. Right, there's no 2 hour divergence. The market looks like it wants to pull back for a moment. Is Apple going to pull back for a moment? Well, the 30 minutes extremely positive now, so it's very likely to continue to see upside for Apple, which is just very interesting to me. But the 30-minute swing trade should be done at this point. You should not really expect a 30-minute swing to most of the time, it doesn't even get you fully to a weekly expected move for like 2 pushes. So the fact that it did it in one, if you happen to be in this, then it would say, take your profit is usually what I would consider in that type of scenario. Make your own decision, but hey, that's something that I like to do. Oh, it's weird to see people's names now. Oh my goodness, like it's weird to see people's names again. When are we getting rugged? Hopefully, I mean, I think it would be we can extend into July 9th. We can extend, especially with the Apple move. It's suggesting some weird stuff, but that would say Apple's kind of like, no, we can keep going for a little while. But right now, you're still inclined to pay attention closely to, that long weekend and July 9th. So pretty much it's this. It's very, very cool. Once you see 2 hour divergence or a 2 hour high or low, that's when you watch out. That's it from volatility. If you want, we can put these things on real quick. Volatility. You see a 2 hour high or low, you see a 2 hour divergence, like on your MACD. Like we scale up for a moment, we drop down, we curl back up. We scale up, we curl down, we go back up. That's the high or low. Maybe it's a bigger scale up, who knows? But if this 30-minute divergence means anything, maybe we go make 2 hour divergence, and then we see something bad later on, right? We see something like this just drug out over time, and then you curl back up, and then you'll be creating that divergence. So those are two things I'd look for. If those two things don't shape up, then I would consider that the market can still remain irrational. For now, you are getting a slight pullback on the SPY of 0.24. We do see some names out there actually getting forms of pullback down to areas where they would really like to bounce from. Things like AMD, these type of stocks, they do like to bounce from these type of areas, but it does have a lower point it wants to get to. And if you have those levels, you are a Patreon member, so pay attention to those levels. But we are assuming that this 2-hour can turn up one more time once it does actually get a little bit closer to the center line. So I do think we have some time to fool around in here, but eventually we'll be able to turn that thing up into positive territory. That's what I believe for AMD. We'll look for lower highs as well if we see something more aggressive from something like Nvidia, right? If you get too aggressive with the sell-off, you got to be watching for lower highs. But you can see as of right now, the MACD is just not telling you that NVIDIA is like the riskiest thing in the world. It's saying, yeah, I need a pullback, but that could go sideways. That could pull down for a moment, then curl up into positive territory to give you that divergence point on your MACD and RSI. So those are two things that I'd watch for at this time. Anything that's really high up, you look for, hey, do we make a lower high? Do we make a divergence? And it's pretty much like that. An interesting one that I saw was Microsoft. Microsoft is really showing some 30-minute weakness here, like the 2-hour really wants to cross down. So Microsoft is overall stating like, hey, I need to pull back, and I might need to pull back into something like 500, or I'm sorry, 490 at the least to be able to go for one more push. If it really wants to drop, man, if you come down into here, that's pretty aggressive. So then we'll be watching for the lower highs. But yeah, coming down into here is a possibility, and you still can end up going up. But it's just, that's pretty aggressive at this point. But the 30-minute divergence here has confirmed, and it's very, very good. So Microsoft is saying, like, hey, a 2-hour pullback is most probable. Look for it to violate trades, right? Pretty nice. DIA is still positive. That's kind of crazy. The 2-hour seems to need to pull back for IWM. I think it was Tesla as well, able to roll this again. No curl up for the 2-hour, barely anything for the 30-minute. The divergence completely wiping out here. If you were trying to play some kind of divergence right here, well, you should have seen that the management for the trade on even the 30-minute came. So the 15-minute was probably earlier. So this said, hey, this divergence is not going to play out right now. And then it never confirmed back up. So hopefully you weren't still in the move, right? If you're trying to catch some kind of move to 350 again. But this is starting to be a problem for something like Tesla that looks like a lower high on the daily scale. So now we look for the ping-ponging to continue, but eventually we'll look for a break of one of these zones that can give us some direction for a period of time. Still ping-ponging for Tesla there. It's been very nice. Then it breaks. Maybe it gets a little tighter. All right, let's go back over to the SPY for just a moment here and look at this 30-minute chart together and just hang out and be like, hey, okay, what are we watching for? We're looking for that daily expected move if the 30 minutes going to get a reaction. But if we see something a little surprising, we can see a 2-hour move down to something like 605, but I'm still heavily inclined to pay attention to 610 at this moment. Wolfie boy, what's a Wolfie boy? Oh, Wolfie boy, there you go, buddy. That's what you need. Too bad you're only worth pennies now. That is unfortunate for Wolfie boy. The fact that this is happening, not at $3, not at $2, not at $1. It is happening at 50 cents or 40 cents. So, good for you. Good for you, Wolfie boy. I hope you do well. I think, it'd be fun. You have a lot of daily divergences on your MACD, just not on your RSI. But hey, you do you, baby boo. I hope you take off, Wolfie boy. My daughter would even be happy. I'd be like, Wolfie made money today because she has a little Wolfie doll. You want that to just kind of keep going, though. Because this guy, I heard there's like dilution or something like that. This is not necessarily a good thing for AMC for the initial time, right? For right now. But we talked about divergences being able to be created here. So now you have that opportunity. You might even have that opportunity still for GME. We'll see. Very nice from Wolfie Boy, though. AVGO was another one we were talking about on the 30-minute, giving pretty damn obvious divergence, and we're seeing if the 2-hour wants to pull back from this. This 2-hour pullback could just be something like this into this type of area towards 260 to be able to turn to the upside. Not too much going on there, but it looks like this could pull down in order to turn back up later on. Yeah, maybe we go into a little bit further now, but also you got to watch for these type of things, right? We'll watch for lower highs. All right. Yeah, I think it's pretty set in stone. I mean, I think this is just what we're looking for, and I don't think a ton has really like changed there, to be honest. Nothing's really gone wrong. Coin, it does see how coins has the 2-hour pulling back, and it looks like it wants to continue. Where did it want to go down into? I think it wants to go a little lower here. I think you would maybe want to get to like that 327 level, just a little bit more. Then you try to figure your stuff out. But do you have any signs that this is figuring its stuff out from the 30-minute? Technically, no. Technically, no, you do not. You do not have any inclination that this can start to go up until you start to break through key levels and then show a higher low, confirm up, and then you can be off to the races. But as far as coin goes, you might need a little bit more time here, but it looks like at 2 hours just going to pull back. And then if it pulls back aggressively, you look for lower highs. If it pulls back just like this into like something like 326, 327, then you look for that to curl up into positive territory. And then you still look for those lower highs. It's decently aggressive. But you would lean more towards, hey, we can test this high, go make a new one. Maybe a weekly expected move pops its head up. Yeah, that's a good one. That one's a fun one. Because like yields look like they want to turn up, the dollar looks like it's going to get some kind of relief, and that's just interesting to me. And then it's like, but Bitcoin kind of looks like it wants to go for a little jog. Right, Bitcoin on the 4-hour, yeah, we have divergence there, so we're looking for the daily to confirm back down. But if that never happens, right, this thing just curls back up. It's pretty strong buyers in here. We'll see. You would need a 4-hour to confirm to the upside to say, yes, we are going to break out of this consolidation or this trend in some way. Yes, we are going to curl up. Yes, we are going to break trend. Yes, we are going to show the new high, come back, and go again. Right, that would be very important. $10. Hey, Lucas, are you witnessing Q2? Oh, Netflix. This stock is running raging bulls on steroids. Dude, this thing is crazy. And I think that if you want my honest opinion, like my tinfoil hat opinion, I guess, I think that Netflix, I'll give you my full statement here so you can understand my mindset. I think that Netflix is a company that's run by people who think they're smarter than you, that want to keep you in your home because they think you're too dumb to do anything. I think these are part of the same people that put a bunch of pesticides and stuff in your food, in your bread, and everything to where it's completely different from other countries. That's my true belief. And I think Netflix is an avenue for that. I think it's part of the problem. I think they use Netflix to get you to stay at your home and they don't want you to go to theaters. And that is why they hate stocks like AMC so much, unless they have money in that game. That's what I truly believe, if you want my honest opinion. But as far as Netflix goes, that means that this is going to be their, golden boy for a long time. And that means that this is most likely going to actually continue at this point because you do have that divergence on the MACD. You want to watch for reversal, but if you just hold up before you break through these levels, right, you just hold up in here and then you curl up into positive territory or even break down to here and curl up into positive territory, it's not necessarily a bad thing, right? So this is going to eventually see, I think, a bad moment. I genuinely believe that because if you look at the weekly RSIs, and if we see something like bad to where the weekly turns down and we make lower high or make a higher high and it makes a divergence, I think that you don't have much time left. So my assessment on Netflix is I think that Netflix will see a crash in 2026. That's what I think at this point. If you want my honest opinion about Netflix in general, I would never be investing in this stock right now. If you look at the MACD, the times to invest are not when you're up here. The times to invest are when you're down here. And if this is one of their golden boys, say for people who like to do shitty things around the world, you can still make money off of those golden boys by just paying attention to weekly and monthly charts and looking for when they're really, really low. I would say the same thing about Nvidia. I would say the same thing. I think about potentially even Palantir at this point because they're getting so many government contracts that I would be paying attention to these stocks when they're really low and then just making sure you understand, like, hey, are politicians still in this stuff? That's how it goes. That's my honest opinion. That's how I see things. I think that Netflix is such a good company that does not make money. I know that they don't make money off of their memberships. That's why it keeps increasing. That's why you have ads now. The whole point of Netflix was to not have ads. Now you have ads. They tried to make too many movies and it cost them too much money and they didn't make any money off the movies. They just keep increasing the ads. I don't like that. I don't like ads. I think that if you had something good, you should have kept something good and everything can remain the same and people can still go to movie theaters and it's fine. But now they're trying to circumvent that to keep you in your home. And that's what I truly believe at this point. Everyone's increasing ads though. No content they keep loading for and nonsense. We canceled that. Yeah, I canceled my Netflix subscription. I only get Netflix when there's like that show You or whatever. Me and my wife like that. So, yeah, that's how I think a lot of the world works that way. I think a lot of the things that you think are good for you are fun for you and take your time. I think that they are actually a detriment to your humanity. I think that if you're using AI on a daily basis, that you are giving up your critical thinking power and you're probably going to struggle to do something like trade stocks. The best thing you can do is only use AI for the moments where you actually need like research, not for actual things that you want to do. It's kind of like if I use AI for work, am I actually working or am I just using the AI to work, right? Because that is a different statement. You're not putting your purpose to work. You're going to not care about your work as much. You're not going to do a lot of things. It just causes a lot of bad things that you don't even realize. Wolf broke 100%. Let's go, Wolfie. Do it. Go, Wolfie, go. AI can help you work, but the way people use it now is they just use it for their entire work. So if am I a good employee or am I an AI robot at that point? Am I a good employee or an AI robot if I'm using AI every single day? Did I give up my thinking power? I'm talking about like human reasons, by the way, not society make more money reasons. You can probably make more money by using AI for a lot of things, but at what cost? There is a cost. If you trade stocks, then you know there is opportunity cost everywhere. You know there is risk everywhere. And I'm not going to risk my brain power to make a couple extra bucks, right? I could have AI write my whole script every single day for YouTube and never have to really do anything with YouTube. I could put a robot that learns my voice to talk about stocks over that. And then I could just say, okay, pay attention to these things. And then I could just, edit the video and be done in 30 minutes and make money off you guys. Does that sound like a very trusted person? Does it sound like you're getting good information from my opinion, or you're just getting an AI robot? You're getting an AI robot. I'm saying once you take it too far, I think you give up things that you don't even realize you're giving up. That's all. Welcome to my TED Talk. AI videos are killing YouTube right now, and YouTube's trying to do that. Did you know that? YouTube doesn't want to pay creators. YouTube doesn't want to pay creators. They want to make AI bots that make videos for what you search for. Did you know that? Do you think that's a good thing for people or a bad thing for people? Haven't seen you in a while, actually. Haven't seen you in a while. I've been here, hanging out. Well, and Tam Tam saying narcissist, it's like, yeah, well, if everyone thinks they know everything, but really they're just asking AI for everything. Like, this is why I think people are smarter than people, like people 50 years ago or 100 years ago are smarter than we are now. I see them as better off. Oh, now we're just gonna sit here for the spy all day and wait till the end of the day to actually see something, aren't we? Oh, it's one of those days. Well, you just described cores and lotto stocks. That's what I'm saying. You don't want, you literally, you need to, like, having the ability to think through something and problem solve is a huge skill. To just fade that away, to type it into a computer, to trust something online that was built by another human being who has their own agenda. Literally, I think it was Microsoft or something said, we make money every single time you use ChatGPT. It's like, oh, okay, so you're giving up your brain power to give them profits at this point? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, I've gotten, you guys heard, I've been getting more into books this year, and I agree with you on that. I think books are the best thing for your brain right now. If you want a book to read, guys, I have a very good book for you. We've suggested this multiple times. I think this book is just fantastic. I can maybe even put a link in there for it, but I don't know what this is. Dude, this keeps popping up and I just don't care. I never update those things. What is this? This is what? Oh gosh, I just forgot because of the pop-up. There we go. Limited time deal. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Limited time deal. I'm gonna send you guys this this link if I can. Can I send it? Here we go. Copy link. I'll put it in the chat. It is $0 right now. If you get it for Kindle, I think. No, this is Psychology of Money. I will always shout out this book. It is currently it says for the audiobook on Amazon it's $0. For the Kindle it is $10.44, and for the paperback it is $10.99. I just bought the paperback. I mean, I'm not someone who needs like hardcover or anything, but if you want hardcover, you want a nice one, that's fine. So pretty much that book is 45% off right now. You can go check it out. It's a great read. It'll really get your brain going on money. Like, if you want to critically think about your individual life, you buy this book. You want to critically think and start thinking about how you personally view money. That can actually help you understand type of trades you want to take too. Like, hey, am I a person that likes to hold, like, that saves money long term? Your mentality is going to be better for bigger extended plays, such as investing. Right? It can actually help you figure it out with critical thinking. So I would rather you go read this book than type into AI to figure out your stuff. You're going to learn critically more about yourself by reading that book. Just a shout out if you want a good read. I don't know how to read. I think I own that book. I highly suggest it. It's fun. I respect money, but I am indifferent to it. I think that's a good way to be, Jim. I actually like that. I had a kid. Yeah, Willow, that'll do it too. Have a kid too. Same thing. But one of them's $10. Okay, Willow. One of them's $10. One of them's like 10,000 for the first like year or two. I read Curious George. I used to too. They have a TV show about it now. I was like, did they have that when I was a kid? What the hell? All right, let me just click through because I'm like a little bit eh. DIA still going, man. Wants to make that again. This is crazy from Apple. Tesla going down there. Amazon's not looking horrible. Nvidia going sideways. AMD coming down, but stopping right where it wants, right where we kind of expect it to. Meta curling down with divergence now. It looks like kind of controlled. Microsoft with the great reversal signals, but still holding up for now. Are we about to see some kind of squeeze that violates these things, or are you going to see just up, up, and away? AMC waking up as of right now. GME trying its best to remain positive, but overall going sideways. DJT with the 30-minute divergence, trying to do good things for the 2-hour to get going with all its divergence, which can lead to a daily pop. So DJT looks like it's about to pop. DJT looks like it has a chance here to see a good upside move. So let's go into that 30-minute and see if things are going well. You really would like to take this out, and if I'm being totally honest, you would like to take all of these guys out. You see all those wicks? See all those wicks? I don't really like how we kind of made an island there. Oof, I don't really like that. So, something I would like to see here is remain positive. Just be a dip down and keep going. Take out this high eventually. You can take out that high, come back, and then you try to go again. That would be fantastic, and I think DJT has a good shot to do it here. Look at all these divergences, man. Wham. It's just, this is kind of counter trend move. I don't know if this will be like the biggest thing in the world. You're kind of looking for something like $21 if it can daily cross up, I would say in July. But very, very good for DJT to shape some stuff out. That means that this would be one that you could pay attention to and you could try to practice on, right? You could try to, I know we had someone even mentioning they were paper trading and they were feeling better about their stuff yesterday. And I'm like, that's great. That's what it's for. Just time and market as far as your strategy goes, not investing wise, but time and market, like just looking at markets and how they move based on the things you know. Well, DJT is telling you some stuff here, so this would be one where you could try to execute. And if you see the 2-hour confirmation that you like, and then the 30-minute is able to roll, you can say, I will manage that trade. And if it wants to curl back up, I can try one more time. There's multiple different ways to do it. Some people, like Chris, they just look for this, and then they play from right here to right here. You know, people do that. Those are your shorter term traders. Not necessarily my cup of tea. I'm up 100% on shares on Wolf. Let's go, dude. Keep going, Wolfie boy. 158. Ooh, hoo, hoo, Wolfie boy. We got to see it. We got to see it. We got to see this. Okay, is this when they dumped? 21st of May. May what? 21st right here. Oh, some short seller activity that day. Some big short seller activity that day. But that was on the announcement too, so that like makes sense to short, That was on the announcement of a bankruptcy, I think, right? So I believe that was just recently. You don't really have the best daily divergence, but hey, you break out. I still think you probably got to get through something else first. I would probably just mark off this whole chunk, but I think you're able to get to, if you can get to 397, that would be great. But really, 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 if you're really talking about this, you still have to get through this first. This would be where you want to get to. That's what you want to get through as well. You want to get through all that. That's your green. And then this is your nearest area right here, where you see if that goes. Makes an oopsie on the 2-hour. But if this can cross through, ooh, raise that floor. Oh, raise that floor. Ooh, raise that floor the whole way up. Target hitting 100-something bucks. Let's go, Target. Target, target, target acquired. Remember, the squeezing is possible here. Volatility shaping up that 30-minute, and that 30-minute is confirming as of right now. So look at that. Because I kind of want to get my hands on some volatility. So I am going to look for the 30-minute to drop here. It looks like we're about to see some kind of squeezing, but I'm not going to take any kind of play, right? I'm watching, yeah, I kind of said this incorrectly just now. I'm not taking some kind of play. I pulled up volatility options to now pay attention to the behavior of those options for UVXY. I am looking for the trade down here, right? I'm not going to take a call on volatility when I'm seeing divergence, triple divergence on your RSI. So that means that the futures would probably be what we want to watch here. This means that the market, as far as volatility is showing us, can see another 4-hour curl up into positive territory here, which is kind of nuts to think about. We'll take into consideration that it could just be a 2-hour move to create that divergence before the week is up. So we'll be watching for that. But volatility, as of right now, is suggesting that this 2-hour can cross down. And if that 2-hour crosses down, we'll watch for that reaction back up at any point, and we'll look for 30-minute divergences in here to give us little hints. 2-hour divergence leads to what? Big pops. Big pops. Big, pop? I think so. Volatility is curling down as well. This could be brief. Yeah, we might run it. Are we actually going to see like the volatility is suggesting that something bad can happen on the 4th of July, that weekend. That's what volatility, the timing of that is setting that up. AVGO, 30-minute, 2-hour, 4-hour daily divergence forming, but it's kind of flat. I think that AVGO is still, I think you consider that divergence at this point for AVGO. I really do. That would mean you need a good confirmation though, right? So if you're looking at 4-hour, I think 4 hours a perfectly fine confirmation to pay attention to here. You saw the divergence get more dramatic. What you're looking for is that nice red bar below the 9, maybe even below the 5. That would be fantastic. You haven't gotten it yet. But once you see that, you can say, okay, maybe I say, okay, this is going to cross on the MACD. This is going to cross on the RSI, and we're going to head down into at least 256, if not break the low to head lower, right? We can see how it would want to behave. Okay, awesome. So if that's going to take place, then the 4-hour has to show that it wants to confirm below these levels. And then my management for the trade is probably still the 2-hour, or even I would say the hourly chart. If the hourly chart, see that divergence there, if that divergence goes up, we're going to go again, you say bad with the timing. And then if it confirms again, you say I'm back on. So management of risk, I think hourly chart is your best friend if you wanted to execute something on AVGO. But you have the skills. You know that there's potential weakness on the daily. The 2-hour scale says you might want to continue a bit, but your daily and 4-hour are what you're watching. So this is one that can continue. So you watch for the management of the trade, right, for the 2-hour. But if it just sees something ugly now, and it's not able to figure its stuff out, then it just keeps breaking down over time. And then you correct up, and then you fall down again with the left head, right shoulder. Very nice. 30-minute for Palantir. Yeah, it is. I think it is at this point, but that 2-hour move to the upside is what I'm watching for. So this reaction up is great. Okay, we're reacting down. So if we continue to make new lows, that's not necessarily a good thing. I do think the confirmation is a good one for the roll down to 127, but we have to lose lows and things like that. So this is still like, hey, if I want to be risk on for the short, right? I'm saying I want to short this. Okay, I can do that. I can pay attention to where weekly moves are. I can pay attention to where the center of my weekly moves are. And I could say, okay, but the 2-hour is very likely to get a reaction soon. Maybe something like this, right? So I'm going to watch this very carefully. And if that 30-minute just curls up at any point, or even I would say a 15-minute curls up at any point before losing that low, then I'm out of the trade. So pretty much you're playing to here or here. And then you're saying, hey, if this happens, I'm out. If this happens, like anytime that curls up, I'm just out of the play. That's how I would treat it for the time being. Yeah, so I do use shorter time frames for management of risk, if you noticed. AMD down to that center point. A little bit further to go for AMD if it wants to. That's the thing. Volatility is suggesting we're just going to go. You think it goes up or down? Well, it's hard to say. SPY is overall positioning like it needs to pull back, but you're seeing directly the opposite from volatility. Volatility is suggesting we're going to squeeze. So you have one side of risk telling you you're going to squeeze. You have the other side of risk telling you we need to pull back. So taking that into consideration with the environment we're in, we're still in squeeze environment, right? So we haven't seen confirmations that are really bad yet for the SPY, right? So we better just be paying attention more so to what? Maybe squeeze by like just a little bit. Maybe it's like 60-40 we pay attention to squeeze. IWM kind of getting that rough spot, right? But once again, this is the difference between the markets and volatility. If you look at these, you're looking for good confirmations, right? 4-hour charts. This is why I'm like if you look at a 4-hour, look how significant it is. So I think these are what you watch for because it's very easy to manage a trade on a 4-hour. Look at a 2-hour hourly chart. You know, if it's the wrong timing, then you're going to see the trade go wrong, right? If it's not time to pull back, then you will see something go wrong. Don't overcomplicate it. Do not overcomplicate it. If I said, yes, the 30-minute is going to do this, and then this, and then this, but then the 30-minute does this, and then this, isn't that just not correct? That's not what my trade was. So I have to do something here. And then if it goes like this and rolls and creates another divergence point, then I can try that again. Right there. Right? I'm not going to sit there and act like the market has to do what my trade says it's going to do. I just need to see if it's going to do that. What do you consider price point top if the SPY squeezes? For this week, you'd look at 624. I think that 620 is a very interesting level. I think we try to tag 620 again. See if we've updated it all. Yeah, 620 is your biggest call level. So I think 620 or just shy of 620 again is very possible. But some kind of extended move up to here towards 620, maybe break through. After that, you would look for 625, so pretty much weekly expected move. So here, right at 620, right there, with our availability to go all the way up to here. But you have to see, I mean, it's a risky time to trade, honestly. Like, I've been saying that for a couple of days now, but you know, since this break, I've said I'm not playing the break. I don't think this was a risky time to play. But I think as you get to here, you're going, oh, we're at that 610, we're above 610, we're using it as support. Yes, we can go to 620, but we haven't seen the daily pullback, and everyone's convinced it's not going to happen. And the market, I think, wants to convince you it's not going to happen, so it's going to drag this out for as long as it can without falling. But volatility is saying something, and I would listen. Even if it means sitting back and watching, because you have a difference between volatility and the SPY right now. What do we look for? We look for them at the same time. We don't see them at the same time, so it's not going to be the most obvious yet. If we start to see it at the same time, we'll talk about it, but this 30-minute rolling like this is normally going to be, hey, we're done. If it's not going to be we're done, then you're going to see it curl up, or most likely before even making a new low. Probably just going to do this. So we'll see who gets it wrong. We'll see who gets it right. Will the 30-minute divergence on the SPY get it right and say we're going to pull down? Or will volatility get it right and we're going to see some kind of random squeeze again here for the SPY going into tomorrow, actually? Potentially even into Thursday at that point. What up, BK? How you doing? You want to look at Reddit? We can go look at Reddit. I'm down. Yeah, 2-hour looks just not good here for Reddit. I think that with this type of look, if you're not going to mega squeeze and get through this, like if you don't break through 173.52, I know that's crazy, but I'll say this, if you don't at least break through 164.32 and you just tap into this lower area and you reject, where are you going? Well, you're in the ping pong type of area, which means you're between two zones, which means what? We can do this into here. We can do it all the way down into here if we really would like. So this means a daily pullback going down into something like 116 is still very possible if you're able to just flag out like really, really thin, just flagging out like this. I think you could hold up a little bit better. But for now, you would really be attracted to 116.26 if the 2 hour is able to confirm down. You would really be looking for this right here. So toward, you know, you can look at a whole number, look at like 120 or something. Every single time, Sony, and that's the irrational market. That's the changing in the market, right? It's been technically we've seen irrational moves since here. Actually, I mean, if you really want to talk about it, even here could have been this into this was very irrational. I think you're looking at this was irrational. This was technically irrational, but it makes sense, right? We talked about it back in the day. If you want to go look at those videos, why this was more likely to curl up, we were using these blocks. And that was irrational. And then we pulled down. It's like, okay, we're going to get daily pullback. Then the 30-minute divergence popped up. Remember that? 30-minute divergence. Oh, it's going to be irrational. Oh, it curls up in positive territory. Oh, 30-minute divergence again. So you're just seeing more of that. Usually it can happen 2 or 3 times. But as you get to this time, you're starting to be more and more this guy. Like, when are we actually going to pull back? Are we going to pull down to here this month? We've gone up for a long time. Doesn't 593 look pretty good? It looks pretty good, right? But you're just shaped up to, you have a difference between volatility and the SPY right now. Palantir has no direct correlation to volatility. Yeah, it's more this, Sonny. If you understand that you're in the environment. So here's how you think about it. Try to change your thinking. When you understand like why we did it back here. Remember back here. There was 2 hour divergence or something like that, right? There was some kind of divergence like right here. Yeah, the rejection divergence is possible. And everyone was mentioning it to me. And I go, yes, you can take it into consideration, but the environment is changing. So you are more likely to see something irrational here, right? So if you know that information, you can position yourself accordingly. It seems riskier, but it's actually the least risky thing to do. It just, if you understand it, it's a lot less risky to take calls in here than it is to take puts. And you notice you're rewarded for it. That's much different than the high volatile situation down here with the 30-minute divergence. That's different than the 2 hour higher low that was happening down here. It's different because you're in a different environment. You're in more explosive, we're trying to bottom environment. In here, you're just trying to keep going. You're trying to show that irrational behavior. So if you understand that, then you go, okay, I'm in the irrational time. I'm up here. I'm in the irrational time. Oh, okay, so this is going to look really bad. Oh my god, dude, just fuck off. That thing ended like 2 days ago and it just pops up every minute. And you just go, oh, it looks really bad, but it curled up. And is there divergence? Because it's been giving us divergences. So yeah, it's knowing that you're in that environment where divergences play out much more when you're below those levels. So that means what? We technically, to see divergences play out very strongly back and forth, and we see that rip around high volatile dead cat bounce type of market, you have to take out a level of about 600. You have to at least be taking out like 600. Monthly moves, you need those real quick. If you guys need monthly moves, yeah, you're more than welcome to ask. For the SPY, that is 642.25 to the upside. That is 593.45 to the downside. If you want to pause it there, I'm going to go over to the Qs right now. The Qs, if you need those monthly levels, you have 578.54 to the upside, and you have 524.74 to the downside. I haven't really been playing. Yeah, divergences haven't been the best, unless they're bullish. They've been really good when they're bullish. Divergences have been really good when they're bullish. And this divergence doesn't have to be bad right now, right? Just now you're in the environment where you can look for that top. So weirdly enough, right at the moment where you're like, I give up on trying to find the top of this thing, that's actually where you usually find a top. Once everyone gives up, once everyone says buy no matter what, then you pull back. Hood might squeeze. Well, it's squeeze time, right? July. I hope we see some squeezing out there. We're already seeing it from Wolfie Boy. Go, Hood, go. Now, Hood did have some news. I can't recall right now, but Hood had some kind of news. Like they were opening up some kind of trading in Europe. But, oh, no, I ain't buying this. No, I'm not that guy, Rafe. Or, Akil. I'm not that guy. No, 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 no. The time to be in on this was much, much, much lower. When we were talking about daily divergence, probably, right? That's when you were in. Like if you're talking about buying and holding a stock, that's when you're in. You can hold that for a couple of months and just see how it plays out. Make sure it still remains good. Everything's good here. So Hood. Now, do I buy it now? So if I say the good time to buy is here, then is the good time to buy here? No. It's the opposite. You don't know. That's probably in the FOMO leg or something. It could sell off all the way back down to like $65. If it squeezes, you already missed out, right? That's how I put it. You're trying to get lucky. You're betting too much on luck if you're trying to catch that now. Look how overbought you are. It's too much. Too much. The free trading in Europe. Oh, okay. This bad diverse was pretty key to my success. So now I know. Yeah, so Sony, something that can clear that up for you. Sometimes it's the 5-day moving average, but a lot of the time it's just going to be look for gamma flip information. You can go follow on Twitter like Spot Gamma, and you can get a lot of information for free. It might not be the most updated, or find someone that gives gamma levels as well. But as of right now, I think you're looking at about 600 for the serious level. The big orange circle was if we were going to tear down from right here. So I kept it there just in case. But overall, my assessment was if we're going to roll now, then we're going to get to 560 pretty clearly. But but around that time, we said, hey, wait, there's 30-minute divergence. If this raises that floor, then we might raise that circle, right? So the circle should technically be right here. So if I wanted to be honest, the real opinion here for the circle is now it's going to be right there. So this means we are very likely to pull back into where? This zone, right? We are very likely to do this into this. So I can move my circle up, right? So it's a good thing we're paying attention to 30-minute divergence because look what happened. Isn't that great? Aren't we glad we didn't short right here because we had 30-minute divergence? Now you're climbing, 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 and volatility has shown you the divergence, but volatility is saying, I want to break down. Like, hey, I might squeeze a little bit more. Oh, okay. Squeeze a little bit more, son. And guess what? You could still end up in that lower zone. There's still a probability to do so. It's just got lower. That's why the more probable area, the circle had to be moved. Yeah, of course, Sony. Because if you're above, like say gamma flip, you're much more in that environment where just irrational, swing trades start to happen. If you're below it, then you're likely to see volatility in both directions. UVIX just hit a 52-week low. Dang. Let's go look. Ooh. Ooh. And that daily divergence is there too, but I don't think it's there as well on this, but this is leveraged. So you still do the analysis here. Your daily divergence is holding very strongly here. That's why I really want a little 2-hour divergence. And then I just go, okay. So how we'll treat this is kind of like make a new low, show me that divergence point. Maybe it even has to come all the way down, right? These aren't connected properly, so maybe we connect those properly for a moment, but like maybe it goes, shoots down, then comes back, or just drags out, then comes back. But my question is SPY going to get it right and volatility gets it wrong and volatility just goes like this and then makes a higher low? So there's a lot of different things that can go on because you have a mixed bag. Definitely have a mixed bag now. You have volatility saying, we're going to squeeze. And then you have the SPY saying, I'm still tapped out, dude. I think 620. I think 620 will get tested again before we fall. So I have 28,000 shares on BBAI. Ooh. Oh, look at this guy. Big Bear. Big Bear was a big bull. I don't like when 30 minutes cross during these type of moves because that means the momentum in some way has faded. If the 2-hour does cross, you are very likely to see a pretty damn big dump. So if you look through the times where this gets dramatic moves, you'll notice the 2-hour crosses, bad things start to happen, and you go all the way back and retest critical levels. Notice here, we broke through this. We went up dramatically. You came all the way back down into it. Then you break again. You do something crazy again, right? Higher low, boom, divergence there. You can see it. There's a 30-minute divergence right there. You can see it. You see it on the RSI. That's the 30-minute divergence right there. And we do what? Oh, lower high, right? The head and shoulders. Break down again to test what? Where those buyers came in. Then we go again. We make the higher low, and we go again. And what do you see at the top? Divergence. This is on the 30-minute. You can see it. You can see it on the RSI. Divergence again. Falls dramatically. Now, do you have divergence at this point? No. But if the 2-hour crosses, we've seen a lot of bad things when that 2 hour is able to cross. So maybe at this point, you say, when I see a 30-minute divergence, I'll be out. Or if I see a 2-hour cross down here. And that's it. That's like a plan, right? Your plan is now, if I see 30-minute divergence that has proven to reverse down the stock, if I see that confirm, I'm out. If the 2-hour, if we don't make divergence, but the 2-hour confirms, that usually causes another 20% dump. So I'm out that too. Those are my 2 ways to be out. If those 2 things don't happen, then I'm in. All right, that's kind of how I treat things. I think you're right. Oakland, I think we're close, so I don't think you're like incorrect. I think Apple's holding up the market right now. I think the market was going to tip here for a moment. I think it was going to tip, but they don't want it to tip yet. And I think Apple's the excuse right now. Everything's about other people's money. That's how I think. I want SPY 640s. I think you'll get 640. I think you could get 640 by September. I think you could get 640 by September. Even if we daily pullback, I think we could daily pullback. I think that we could do this. I think that we could do this, do this, do this, and get to that 540. I think it's very possible. Is it probable yet? Not necessarily, unless you just keep squeezing. Yeah, you don't want people just ignoring everything because then it looks worse, but the levels still remain the same. The levels will still remain the same, Oakland, but if you keep going, it will be worse. Like, technically, more people will be trapped and it could be more aggressive. Right? This is why we looked at moments like this. right? When you don't pull back, it can be fast and what? Aggressive. This is only like 7 trading days. When we top right here, this is 4 trading days. Boom. That is a drop of about 5% in 4 days. 4.3 in 4 days. People freak out about that shit. Why do you think they always make it about 4%? Other moments like this one, bam, right? We went up for a long time. That's still a pretty sizable drop. You're still looking at 5-6%, right? So if you really consider that, well, those moments didn't keep going. If this keeps going, then it's going to look worse than 6%. Right now, what would it look like? Well, if we went up to that 620 again, 5%, and people will freak out about it. But I'm saying if you keep doing this, then that'll become a bigger percentage. 8%. I think we're closer than that though, guys. I think we're pretty damn close here to topping out. Not for like some kind of major top, crash top. I think people will call it one. Like we could literally daily pullback for a week. Maybe 2. That's the future. Right now we're pumping. Volatility suggests it. The only thing that stops this is, hey, the 15, 30 minutes starts to turn back up. I'm still inclined to watch 2-hour pullback. There's no way I would like buy calls with this look personally. I think SPY pulls back to about 590 at the least. I don't think it is either, Upland Group. But yeah, if you want my honest opinion, the most probable area to test now is around 590. If you wanted technical term, like exactly where you would say 580. I'll say 585, but I like 590. If you remember, 590 was such a critical level. So that around that 5900 for SPX, there was so much going on in here. You notice it's right above what? 590. So there's a lot going on in there. So I'm heavily inclined to pay attention to it. That's all. What up, Glory Gaming? How's it going? Have I ever traded futures? No, I've taken trades based off of futures, but I haven't directly traded futures. But I've utilized futures to take a trade, yes. If you guys need to look at futures, you can see the same bad things. You just look at a 2-hour chart. You see the same bad things starting up here, which is saying, oh, the 4-hour is going to pull back. But if we're just going sideways and then we see another upward move, that's kind of what volatility says is going to happen here, is you're just going to kind of, and then you see what happens. So it's like risky weekend, risky to July 9th is what volatility is still suggesting. But if it curls down, which it's kind of saying it will, then we can continue to fall in volatility. More and more people think the market won't fall. And then we'll see if volatility confirms the signal, and then I will be buying volatility. Tesla's in the ping pong. I think it will continue to ping pong. Our boy Ron Walker calling for a pullback. Yeah, I think that guy said new all-time highs were probable from like, I think he said that around 590 or something like that. That's what someone was shouting out. So I'm like, yeah, that's good. He's overall not like, we're not disagreeing right now, I guess. Which one tends to be more reliable? Well, it's more what's the most reliable way to use them, and I think it's when they're at the same time. So the fact that they're contradicting just makes it like worst case scenario, hard to make a decision. If they're at the same time, it's so obvious. Who's more credible? Well, the SPX is potentially the most credible thing to watch. Yeah, so if you look at SPX, this has the most money in it. Like between volatility, SPY, SPX, SPX has the most money in it. So you'd probably look for which one has the most money. And that's not the correct level, by the way, but that is the previous monthly expected move. You saw what I was thinking happens. This might be incorrect now, huh? This is what I thought would happen. I could be wrong, and it still could, like, extend later, right? But yeah, I'm heavily inclined to pay attention to multiple things right now. I like to look at the SPY. I think the SPY is great. Like, I've done a lot of analysis on the SPY because of this, but the SPX is technically bigger. So if you wanted the credibility wise, you would say SPX, and then you would say SPY, then you would say volatility. But it's like, I trust volatility so much, guys, that I don't really take that into consideration. I say, I know how to manage my trades. If volatility is going to go wrong, then it's going to go wrong. And I can react. So if I take a 2-hour divergence with volatility and it curls up, and then the 30-minute rolls, I can react. The SPY is going to take over, right? So once you're comfortable with probably with like time and market, like being able to manage trades and things like that, once you're comfortable with it, it's very, very nice because you're just like the fear isn't there. Like, right, the only thing you fear is like what, some kind of big ass gap in one direction. It's like, if you know you're in that environment of squeezing, you should be aware of that and put that into your management of risk in the position sizing. Looking at Disney for 5-year channel, if I want to break out of it. Sitting back, relaxing though, Thomas, just sitting back and being like, hey, this market needs to maybe do something here, do something more clear. I think that's fine. Yeah, that rotation moment can happen, especially end of quarter. Usually we would see it a little bit in June. We didn't really see it in June. FOMO killing me. The boomer stocks I've been eyeing, PG. Yeah, might just miss it. It's fine to say you missed something. You know, it's not a game that's obvious every single time. Am I being greedy? You're outside of a weekly move, but you know, taking that into consideration, you're on a shortened trading week. I think that if you had a nice trade with Apple, that's such a good move, guys. This is a good move. Like, especially if you're in at lower levels. You know, you said you're in at around 200. Okay, if you're in anywhere around here, bro, that's 5% in like a few hours. That's got to be printing some money. I would say this, like, right, if you want to feed that little greedy guy, you want to hold on to it for one more day, just like sell enough, right? What I like, sell enough that you make money on the play or break even, but I say make money on the play in some way, just so you make some profit in some way, even if it's $100, $50, whatever it is, make a little bit, and then you can leave it for one more day. And if it curls down, it's just going to be profit, right? It's just going to be profit. There's no, and then if it goes up, you benefit. So I think there's not a lot of risk now if you're in the money and you actually make the decision to like break even at the least, and then say, hey, whatever money happens, whatever happens from here, I'm gonna, like, right, that's the decision you're making. Yeah, we've been checking on Nvidia, but Nvidia pulling down now, is showing 2-hour pullback. So as of right now, 2-hour pullback most probable, 2-hour pulling back, and this is why it's important for Apple to be running right now. Because if Nvidia was dropping like this and Apple wasn't running, and other stocks were dropping as well, like your Metas out there and things like that by your little 1%, like your Googles with your little 0.67%, the market would have pulled back by 1.5%. If Apple just wasn't running. But Apple's running to kind of counteract that NVIDIA thing, and this is why the SPY is overall down, but slightly holding. So it's very important that Apple's running here. because Apple's the thing that's allowing the market to remain up. I think what was the level? It was like one. I would start to look at it, and it's not just like, hey, a price gets hit, but for Palantir, well, you want to look for divergences that'll confirm you beat the low, right? This continued, that's good. That's what we were looking for. You're making divergence in the top side of the zone, so you could be a little careful with that. But technically, the better area to get to is around that 127 for Palantir. But if you look at this 2 hour, it's just super beat up. If you make any kind of anything here and you curl to the upside, it's not necessarily like, oh yeah, this is an easy trade again. Now you are going into that middle area and you haven't tested the actual sellers. You haven't done this yet. This is something that I think Palantir really wants to do. And it's kind of like, hey, does it do it now with the 30-minute divergence, or do we see it break down a little further, then we get a reaction that's a little lower? So I think that this trade has been, if you're looking for just a little 30-minute continuation, you're probably still trying to get that 127, but be aware if this starts to flip. I would say even 15-minute chart, because that's showing the divergence on the RSI, not necessarily on the MACD. I just wouldn't be greedy with a look like this that looks like it needs a 2-hour counter trend move. And there's other stocks that are now where, like, right, if we consider this, Palantir was here, now it's here. Other stocks are still like this, while Palantir is like this. So will those stocks and Palantir both go up for a moment, and then you can find something a little higher up that might be easier to execute at that point? Or if this is very easy for you to execute, then you'd be looking for a 2-hour bounce that rolls. Target's looking good, isn't it? Woo! Woo! Don't get me too excited, all right? Don't get me too pumped, all right? On my investment. Waiting is the hardest part. It is, especially if you're looking at. That's why I like distract yourself. Have a daily routine, right? Once you trade enough, you'll learn like times for when your trade setups will most likely be there. You will figure that out. You will understand it. At least, even if you're just time and market, like that's what happened to me. Time and market just made me realize, oh, okay, well, most of my trade setups are either early, like towards the first couple hours in the morning, or like the last hour and a half of the day. So that's why you hear me like go away. I go spend time with family in the middle of the day. I literally try to live. I don't want to live in front of my computer. I want to go get me some sunshine. Got to clean up my desk here. I'm trying to keep things real clean lately. It's been going well. Got my little can. Hell yeah, basketball, some b-ball with the fam. I gotta get my my niece. I gotta get her into some crazy good basketball. She's getting tall. She plays basketball. I think she likes it. Is AVGO going? It looks like Spy's not doing it, man. This is possible. All right, nice. So 2-hour, you're treating it like it can be a pullback, but if it's aggressive, we look for lower highs. JP Morgan's still sitting up there too with a 2-hour divergence. Looking like it wants to try to go again. And guys, I will be hopping off in about 10 minutes. We have to go to the hospital again today in about 30 minutes. I overmanaged the trade. Yeah, that can happen too. If you stare at charts more, you can. It opens you up to good and bad things, I think. And most of the time, I think staring at markets too much can lead to bad things. But well, that might be Mama Bear. Yeah, so you might have to until I get there. About 2 hours. Okay, so this will take about 2 hours. That's right. She's going on her own this time. So I'll be on dad duty. Let's go. Gold, nice reaction up to this level. Gold trying to get going again. Four-hour divergence on RSI for gold. Gold doing the good thing. So very likely to retest 5-day and then try to come back up. See if that takes place. So gold up to that level, very likely to pull back slightly. We'll see if it just pops off, but very likely to pull back. It seemed like a morning drop was the more probable thing, but Apple is the one ruining that for you, I think. Is everything selling off? I don't think if everything was selling off, you would see the SPY and the Qs coming down more dramatically than this. I think more tech stuff is coming down. Obviously, with the Qs at a daily expected move. So this is where the Qs will try to be irrational if they can. If they need to dip more, they can. You don't necessarily want to see a new low unless we're going to get that 2-hour pullback. But the SPY could need time to get to its daily expected move before we go up. That happens a lot of the time. Yes, those Palantir was the golden setup. So Palantir selling off makes sense. AMD selling off right now for a pullback makes sense, right? AMD coming down, down, down. We wanted AMD to go all the way down to about 135. So 135 is the good level for AMD. That is where we will look for potential buyers to step in so we can go make that 2-hour divergence. If we want to, right? If this scales up, that's bad. But if we can do something like this, into something like this, we can look for lower highs still, but also look if we do something irrational for a moment to go up, potentially into something like July 9th. But yeah, volatility is the thing I'm keen on right now, and just watching if this 2 hour is going to confirm down. So this is where volatility can curl up. So who's going to get it right here? Is volatility going to say with this divergence that we're going to get a little bit more upside, or are we going to follow the SPY and contradict this signal by curling up a 30-minute chart or even a 15 at this point? That will be interesting. One side is saying, I really want to pull back. One side is saying, I really want to pull back. So who's going to pull back, SPY or volatility? That's going to be the interesting thing. You're in that moment right now. So whatever's decided in the next like hour or so is probably going to leak into the end of the day, and then we'll see what happens from there. It means I can go get myself some grub, hang with baby girl. Upside for the rest of the week. Volatility is suggesting that, Anthony. Yeah, I can't disagree with either way. If your assessment is one way or the other, I can't disagree with it. Because it's just open now. Once we see confirmations, I can start to disagree, but we'll see. We have good confirmation possible here for the SPY in a moment. But is that confirmation just going to dink off a daily move? I don't know why my gut is telling me pay attention to volatility. Powell? Powell? Are you talking about Powell? I don't know if Powell's talking today. I don't think so. He spoke at the Open apparently somewhere. Came in large olds. Came in higher. Oh, he is. Nice. Good. It's always after they're done talking, we get a reason to sell somewhere. How about that target, right, Brian? How about that target? How about that target, buddy? I still think that could go down to like, what, 76 or something like that, 78, but hey, you can't be mad at it. Oh, I didn't listen to Jerome Powell. Money tells you more. You were hoping IWM hit 215 flat. Today? I mean, you have hit 215 in both directions. Yeah, you've hit it to the downside and the upside. And now you're probably going to like turn down on a 5-minute, see if you can hold up at these buyers and then see if you can turn this thing around. And then we see like one more euphoric little move. Get to a weekly move. Maybe even raise that floor. Down, up, down, up. Oh, no, Monday. I don't know. We'll see how it shapes up. But yeah, you've hit 215 flat like multiple times. Up and down. I don't think I've looked at Rocket Labs in a bit. Oh, yeah, I don't like that look though. I really don't like these wicks. So what you'd really look for here is like, do we pull back into here? I think that this would be the best thing to watch for. If you break through this low, yes, you're tapping into buyers, but you're also opening up the door for those little like rolls beneath the 5. Yeah, the 5 would come across like that. And left, head, right shoulder. So I think that you're getting close here, but it can continue the move. The more likely thing is it's going to continue. Even if you get a daily pullback, that daily pullback should take you down into like 2750 area. And that daily pullback should be a good thing. Yeah, so if you start to lose critical things, then you're losing critical things, right? If you lose critical things like 25, 21, yes, you can curl back up, but you start to be more probable to continue to fall, see like dead cat bounces. So 2-hour, if you can pull back into something like 33.75 and then curl to the upside, that would be good. If the 30-minute right now wants to curl up, that could still be a good sign, right? But you have a lot of wicks above you. Oof. Seems like a lot of stocks are looking for serious irrational things to happen. Yeah, VIX has held as of now. As of right now, the volatility index you are holding, meaning that this divergence is not making the new low yet, right? You need that low. You have a higher high right now. So if you make another higher low, then volatility can keep scaling up and we can keep pulling back. We can watch for triple divergence, but you already have it on your RSI. So if it fails this signal, meaning we fail to pull volatility down, then volatility might just scale up and the SPY might start to come down. We might start to see a 2-hour actual pullback or just a 2-hour start to collapse because volatility is already suggesting the daily can confirm up. Yeah. Very nice. Looking for this dollar to turn. Okay, good. It is turning. I was just seeing some potential divergences here for the dollar. Looks like it's going to get some kind of upward move. 4-hour has the divergence as well. So this means the daily can start to turn around for the dollar. You know, we were talking about that a couple days ago as well. The end of last week, we started talking about the dollar being able to get a reaction. Seems like you have potential divergences across the way here. That reaction can fail. You're still in negative trend. Same could be said kind of for the 10-year yield. 10-year yield going directly where we want it to, seeing if it can get a reaction for a daily move to the upside. Now, the 4-hour has some reversal signals. They're not the best in the world, but they are happening. So this means that TLT is likely to see some kind of pullback now, potentially down into previous areas like $86, like right in here, 85.90. Maybe a little higher, maybe 86, but 85.90. Didn't make the divergence. That would have been nice. Now you're looking for a higher low. Looks like yields in the dollar are about to see a little bit of a move. All right, looks like we're going to pull back. All right, guys. Well, I do have to hop off a little bit early today. I'm sorry to say it. I do. But I think we're still paying attention to the right things. And what you're looking for is confidence in your trading, right? Confidence in your management for the trade, I think, are great in this environment. Making sure that when you take a play, you have a plan for if it goes wrong. Why should you be heavily inclined to do that? Because you have volatility that's saying, hey, I have a 30-minute divergence, like volatility is going to turn down. That means that volatility is suggesting the SPY could squeeze up. But the SPY is still saying, hey, I need to pull back. So you're wrong. I need to pull back with my divergences. So which one's going to get it right? Well, if I take a play on either one and I'm very confident in how I'm going to manage my risk, my trade, I can be in a lot better spot, at least as far as staying in control of the trade. And I think that's very, very good to hear. So thank you guys so much. I'm sorry I have to hop off early. I'll let you guys know how the hospital thing goes. It's nothing serious or anything like that, just getting a bunch of fluids and things like that. But thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you for liking, subscribing, donating to the chat. I really do appreciate it. You guys are fantastic. Wish you nothing but luck, and I will see you guys later on. Peace out.